All right, the magic story is back. McGuire is back, and who doesn't love a whodunit? So welcome to the Murders at Karlov Manor, Episode 1, Ghosts of the Past. We open up with the Orzhov basically throwing the largest party to ever party, basically telling the world, hey, we were a big part of saving you from Phyrexia, and we are, and things are good now. We can spend all of our money on fireworks instead of wartime. Teysa's in charge as well. Kaya's there, but Teysa's in charge. Mind you, literally in the text, Teysa is giving side-eye at Kaya. Teysa slanted her sidelong gaze, eye raking along the length of the barely presentable Planeswalker's form. That's side-eye. Also, Teysa killing it with the stellar outfit. I want to pull off sleeves like this, and also, if you look very closely, a painting of Liliana just hanging out in the background in the foyer. Just with the two ghosts, goals, right? Goals. Kaya and Teysa then have a pretty heated discussion over the fact that Kaya wasn't on the plane when the Phyrexians attacked, and now obviously Kaya was fighting the Phyrexians in other places, and the collected effort of everyone is why the Phyrexians fell, but she wasn't there protecting Orzhov or protecting even Ravnica at the time, and due to that lost her status as the leader of the guild, and Teysa was able to take it from her. We also get a name drop of the agency, which I'll be talking about a lot throughout this, but it's important to remember that a agency helped them control and contain the chaos following the unpleasantness of what happened during Phyrexia. They also name drop that 2 of the guilds have basically been gutted, but all 10 were survived otherwise. I haven't read further in the story. You're able to get my thoughts as I'm reading this, but my guess is that the 2 guilds that were gutted were Simic and Golgari. As during the Phyrexian invasion storyline, they were really inferred to have been the most affected by that invasion. Golgari possibly because the person who led the invasion of Ravnica was Vraska, and then the Simic were just like, ooh, science-y oil stuff I can play with. And so they were also, that's my guess. We'll find out. But basically, Teysa's like, hi, you owe me for protecting this plane and for not being here, and now I'm in charge, and also you just owe your alliances to the Orzhov, so fall in line. But still, who is the agency? I have thoughts. They enter the party, and there's just concentric circles of people hanging out within, where the wider, on the outskirts, are less well-regarded guild members and people of social clout. Teysa is definitely in charge here and has finally come into the position that she's basically been in for years, now being the leader, and Kaya is definitely here to pass the torch. There's some hints that not even the people that previously had to follow Kaya they're just following Teysa, not even recognizing Kaya or acting as if they recognize her. A few key things, Ral not at the party at the moment or at all. And hints at that he still has his Planeswalker spark. Basically, the joke is maybe you don't invite a Planeswalker unless you have him on a leash, which is saying that Kaya is on a leash. And then pointing out that both Izzet and Gruul have their public speakers, people that would be able to mingle in high society, even though they're the Gruul, right? Teysa gets to the inner circle where the leaders of the different groups on Ravnica have formed. Lavinia, who is now raised to the head of the Azorius Senate, good for her, is chatting with an Archon named Ezream, that is unaffiliated. He's actually a leader of the non-affiliate factions, the non-guild, the guildless. Ezream had always been near the Azorius and maybe would have joined at one point, but after the Phyrexian invasion, he became a leader of those not bound by guild affiliation. Also, Tolsmir is back. I didn't know he was alive still, but that's sweet. Though I'm extremely disappointed in him for not taking Voja to the party. What? Take your wolf buddy. You're the dog guy. Take the wolf with you to the party. First wife guys betrayed us, and now wolf guys are betraying us. Speaking of Tolsmir, Teysa then drags Kaya into a social gathering, including him, Aurelia, and Judith, all talking about how Lazav is missing. That they don't believe he's dead because his power suite generally makes him unlikely to be dead and hiding somewhere, and him taking this as an opportunity to hide amongst the masses. But Teysa basically confirms that she hasn't seen him in the ghost side either, so they don't know where he is. Murder mystery. There's a missing shapeshifter. Interesting. There's some jockeying conversation back and forth. There's definitely people that really don't like Kaya anymore because as they kind of blame her for the different invasions and just Planeswalkers in general, there's specifically anti-Planeswalker sentiment. You're the reason the Phyrexian invasion. You're the reason Nicol Bolas invaded. You're the reasons that Ravnica couldn't have died. This is from Judith specifically. Kaya doesn't love this questioning, but kind of they get past it. At this point, Tomek walks up, and at this point, all three, Kaya, Tomek, and Teza have been leaders of Orzhov at some point within like the last few years. So Judith comments on that, and they move on to the next big event. There is a point that she kind of throws shade at him being a part of Izzet because he married Ral. So we've got, this is confirmation. This is post that marriage, which we all knew. But that then he's like, no, I'm an Orzhov. My husband's guild and my guild are not the same thing. At this point, all of the main players are getting led to the top of a balcony overlooking the whole party. There is a moment that Teza is a little frail walking up the stairs, definitely showing that she's getting older in years and stairs aren't as easy as they used to, using Kaya's support. And continuing in multiple paragraphs, just the specific anti-Planeswalker sentiment, which definitely feels the first time that torch that was started by Nahiri during the Aftermath stories is being carried forward to some extent. And then Teza gives a very interesting speech. The first half of that speech is basically thanking Kaya for being a warrior of Orzhov and Ravnica against the multiverse and helping them save everyone, which everyone kind of half applauses for. But then, raucously, she celebrates the Ravnican Agency of Magological Investigations. Apparently, this organization came into its own post-Phyrexia, and that's the organization specifically that Ezream is in charge of and became a leader of. They have partially been able to do this with the funding from Orzhov. And we get to hear of Ansrag, a new Gruul god. I'm hoping we get another Gruul god. I love Raisebor. Give me another one. Did a rampage. Did a rampage in the 9th District. But interestingly enough, the agency member that stopped him was Kellen. First off, from a timeline perspective, Kellen is doing a lot real quick. From Wilds of Eldraine to Ixalan to this, he's now part of the organization. It's not even, this is like a month ago. He had to have been there for at least 2 months to get into the organization and then do this thing. I guess, he is Zoko's son. He's getting very busy. I do think we know that Kellen is going to get an adventure cost plus his main mana cost. That's going to be one of the different colors. And I think we finally figured out we're at the blue version because he's working with an Azorius affiliated group. Red one in the first one, green white in the second one, blue white in the third one, white black in the fourth one. Kellen, interestingly enough, runs into Zagana and Vannifar, who are hanging out, even though they classically don't like each other, since Vannifar kicked Zagana out of the leadership role in the Simic. He then runs up to Kaya to get out of the conversation because he realized that Kaya wants out of the conversation, but they run into Teza, who's talking to Krenko, of all people, who snuck his way into the party. Not actually snuck his way in, got invited, but, through dollars, and he owes Teza money, or the Karlov's money, not Orzhov, but the Karlov specifically. This is one of those, they feel like they're setting up a bunch of different motives for something. You have Krenko owing money, you have the Simic leaders working together for some reason. You even have the Gruul mad because the Orzhov have trapped one of their gods, which I think that Ezream and Kellum are going to play the LeBlanc, or John LeBlanc, I'm never going to say his name correctly. They're the Sherlock Holmes, they're the investigators who are here to figure out whatever the murder is. Benoit Blanc. That one. We also find out that Aurelia is not happy that this new organization is taking over a lot of her investigative duties. Teza then goes on the balcony, thinks about leaving, decides to stay around because she realized that she needs the stay to make it better for Ravnica, and then notices that Judith is missing in the crowd. Where'd Judith go? And as she's about to leave and she doesn't see Judith in the crowd, Teza walks up and says, "Finally, I have a moment alone with you to tell you something that I wanted to tell you all night in secret." Kaya responds, "Wait, we've been alone this whole time?" And Teza says, "No, not before the party started. We weren't really alone. This is our first time alone. And here is my secret." And screaming in the crowd. Something's going wrong. Kaya is off running to see what the scream is. Doesn't even wait to hear what Teza's going to say. And that's the end of the story. And I believe we have a while until that story happens. So the first question is, who was there? Was that the murder? Did a murder happen there? If it's not the murder, who does get murdered? Is there multiple murders? Obviously, with the Clue promotion that we've gotten today, they're leaning into that Clue vibe, so there might be multiple murders like the movie Clue. If I were to guess, I would guess that Kaya runs off to a thing that was supposed to be a distraction so someone could kill Teza. The whole story is set up to kill Teza. Now she can turn into a ghost and run the whole thing as a ghost. They set up multiple people that want Teza dead. They set up a moment where she could be killed. She's all alone. Kaya left her on the balcony where they were seen last alone together. Kaya makes a great patsy for the murder. It's in her manor. So yeah, my hot take, my prediction is Teza's about to get killed. You don't set up all of these motives, from the Gruul to the Simic to Krenko, without her being the one that gets killed. And so then the story will be figuring out who done it. Make sure to check out Murders of Markov Manor. There's a link in my bio to check it out. As an MTG ambassador, I'm going to be doing a bunch of recaps for these are back, so hit that plus button if you haven't.